Marketplace is supported by Putnam Investments, recognizing the value of financial advice since 1937. Putnam Investments, a world of investing. Produced in association with the University of Southern California.
Washington can pass all the economic policies it wants to, but sometimes the market is going to do what the market is going to do. Rising interest rates in the face of economic stimulus on the broadcast today from American Public Media. This is Marketplace.
Marketplace is supported by the all-new Chevrolet Volt, available soon in select markets. Details at ChevyVolt.com. The all-new Chevrolet Volt. It's more car than electric. And by Reputation Defender, protecting online privacy by monitoring the web and removing your personal data from websites that sell it. ReputationDefender.com.
From the Frank Stanton Studios in Los Angeles, I'm Kai Ryssdal. Good to have you here on a Friday, everybody. It's the 10th of December today. And in today's installment of the Curiouser and Curiouser study of the American economy, we give you interest rates. Mortgage rates are the highest they've been in 6 months. Government bond yields, which is what those rates are based on, took a huge jump today, which is strange, considering that the Federal Reserve is spending hundreds of billions of dollars to make those interest rates go down. It does all, we admit, sound confusing and academic, until you listen to Marketplace's Stacey Vanek Smith.
Last month, the Federal Reserve pledged $600 billion to try and push long-term interest rates down. The Fed hoped that would encourage consumers to borrow money and buy things, and encourage businesses to borrow money and hire. But interest rates haven't cooperated, and that's bad news for the economy's fragile recovery, says economist Julia Coronado with BNP Paribas.
So if you're looking to buy a house, higher rates mean you can afford less house. A lot of people, if interest rates go up, they're less likely to buy a car. And so that slows down spending and it slows down the economy.
The government's efforts to help growth by pumping money into the economy have contributed to the problem, says Jack Ablin, chief investment officer for Harris Private Bank. He says stimulus from the Federal Reserve and the government generated expectations for faster economic growth.
Generally, interest rates respond to economic prospects, and as investors and lenders believe that things are improving, interest rates are going up accordingly.
Ablin points out rates are still at historic lows. But all the debt the government is racking up is giving investors the jitters, says economist Coronado.
The government is borrowing more and more and more, and that makes investors worried about the long-run fiscal situation, and it makes them demand a higher interest rate.
So optimism about the future of the U.S. economy is pushing interest rates up, and pessimism about the future of the U.S. economy is pushing interest rates up too?
Even economists are confused.
In New York, I'm Stacey Vanek Smith for Marketplace.
As the political to and fro over extending the Bush tax cuts continues, there is a wrench of sorts being thrown in the works. President Obama mused out loud today that he would like Congress to think about overhauling the whole tax code, cut rates, and eliminate a whole lot of deductions and loopholes. Nice idea, but doable? Our Washington bureau chief John Dimsdale reports.
The modern tax code was set up in 1935 and reformed in 1954 and 1986. It seems repairs are necessary every 30 years or so.
Every house needs to be cleaned up every once in a while. The tax code is certainly no exception to that.
George Yin was a Senate Finance Committee staffer when President Ronald Reagan reformed the tax code. The country had just gone through a wrenching recession, and Yin says special interests had turned the code into Swiss cheese.
There was a lot of tax shelter activity going on in the late 70s and early 80s that a number of people were critical of and felt that this was hurting economic growth and development.
Sound familiar? So in 1986, Reagan and Congress managed to get rid of a lot of the loopholes in exchange for simpler, lower rates. But it wasn't long before Congress granted more tax breaks, says Martin Regalia.